Hello.
Can I sit down for a bit?
Yeah. You ready for the Paddington and Marylebone historical walk?
Yeah.
Good.
Got money.
Matthew Collins. Dickhead. Fucking one of those.
Remember Blimey?
Oh yeah. Oh, he's one of those. Oh, art. Right. Yeah. Art. It's great. That's art. It's drawings. It's film. It's sound. It's everything.
yeah. Him.
Fantastic. Fab. Great. Everybody can do it. I can do it. I'm selling these. Very expensive. They're shit. Are they shit? Who knows? It's art. Everybody makes it up. It's subjective. Objective. Yeah, he's a four-eyed cunt, isn't he? He's probably a big bully as well. I get the impression a lot of these telly people are big bullies.
I remember, because he did one of Francis Bacon smoking, and Francis Bacon didn't smoke.
Well, that was his first mistake.
He had asthma, and I said, "Oh, Francis Bacon didn't smoke cigarettes. He was asthmatic." You know, how all these people like defending him, sort of saying, "I remember him finishing a packet of Capstans in the colony."
Well, this is on the Facebook, is it?
Yeah. And then I put a picture of him, you know that famous picture where he's holding two bits of meat like that?
Yeah.
I just put that up as a response.
Meaning?
Me, don't know what I meant by it. And then he put, "Don't worry, Simon, your day will come. Your day will come soon." So, fuck you, cunt.
Does he know you then?
No.
What a cunt. And I bet he fucking masquerades as a socialist as well, and then he's making a fucking deliberate.
You put the other day, he said, "I can't believe Freeze, the magazine and the art fair." Like, saying how sort of corporate and shite it is. Well, that's the fucking world that made you cunt.
Yeah, but and then he's making this snide. Well, you know what he's really saying is, well, one day you might be as rich and famous as me, but I doubt it very much. That's really what he's saying. Well, Collins, fucking cunt. How much are you selling this?
Collins.
How much are you selling this crap for?
You can go on to. Yes, I take it you're not friends with him on Facebook.
No.
Various prices, but just he's just churning them out. He's flogging.
Oh, and he's got groupies.
He's got all this. Yeah, he's got all these fucking like sort of 90s art world kind of wannabes who like bow down to every word he said.
He's the most vapid. Yeah, he's just vapid, isn't he? He's like the coffee table book of like, he's just super surface level, isn't he?
There you go.
I know what it looks like.
I know, I'm saying this is work.
Oh, really? And then he makes that snide comment. He's elected to be a Labour MP, and then he makes this snide, bitchy little comment about money and fame. What a little cunt. I might respond going like, that's a bit of a snide comment from somebody who purports to be a socialist. To make a snide comment about somebody's station in life. It's a bit rich, you know.
Well, it's just a passing comment. I don't think it's not that big deal.
I think, no, you can tell a lot by a passing comment. You can tell a lot about people's what they really think. A lot of these socialists these days are just they're only it because they think because it looks good, you know. They think that thinking nice things makes you into a nice person, you know. But, you know, as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But anyway, Beamish, enough of this. What are we really here for?
We are here for the last walk we went on, which was started at Little Venice.
The Paddington and Marylebone.
Marylebone, yeah. Marylebone.
That was the very walk that it was. That was the walk, sir. You arrived fucking an hour early.
Well, because firstly, because I was already up and about, and I like to kind of get on with things. But secondly, I didn't know. I've never been there before.
To that region.
And I had to change quite a few trains. That can always be a bit
daunting.
You know, if you do it at the wrong time, it can really delay you. So I thought I'd better get there early than later, and I ended up getting there like too early. And so I went back on myself, and I just went back to Paddington, wandered around Paddington, no, that's right. I went to Paddington, got a sandwich, and came back to meet you. And by the time I got back, you were there. And
with Ricky Stitch in
yeah,
tow.
And I got off, and I'd been there I was there earlier, and the first thing you see when you get out off the tube was the first thing on the first item on the walk, which was the green cabbie's shed.
Yeah, you can get a bacon bite.
But you're not allowed in there. You can only buy through the window.
If you're a cabbie.
If you're a cabbie, you can go in, and I think you get free food as well if you're a cabbie. But if you're a general public, you can only buy through the window, and it's like, yeah, they just do sandwiches.
Oh, they do bacon butties.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't pay, because I was really up for buying a sandwich or something from there, but they don't accept card payment.
It's unusual because a lot of they're trying to go to a cashless society.
And the guy behind there kept like looking at me. And I don't know, he's like giving me the eye, as if I was going to go up there. I just walked past him every 5 times.
By the time you got back, old Ricky Stitch was there with me.
Yeah, and so I sat down and I had my sandwich with you, because as I said to you at the time, I got here an hour earlier, expecting to be able to sit in this was the conversation. We were bemoaning the fact of always having these little kind of Starbucks and shitty little things like that around, like every tube stop. The one time you need them, not bloody there.
You're not bloody there.
Halloween.
It doth come soon. Don't know if I'm going to. Well, I'll try to do something, but.
Do you go trick or treating?
What, at my age?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. At my age, yeah, I go trick or treating. I don't go. Yeah, 50. I'm the oldest trick or treater in town. Oh, yeah, I'm the oldest trick or treater in town. Don't mind if I do.
Irish coffee.
Hey?
Irish coffee.
Wait, that's right, mate. That's fucking right. It comes with a fucking machine gun and a fucking grenade. Oh no. Right, sorry, that was a fucking racist. You racist bastard. Fucking paddies. That was for our Irish listener. He's over here in around Christmas.
Who?
Yeah, so he'll be coming one of the walks, and hopefully for the after talk as well. It's fucking raining, mate. Fucking hell. Know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't bring a brolly.
You did not bring a brolly.
No.
That was a second error.
I shan't drop my brolly.
Fucking, you know, it's brolly. Should have checked the weather. Now then, I think you need to move your chair around here, sunshine. Right, more round.
Oh, there it is. Right. Okay. No, I'm in direct line.
Oh, yeah? No, not for that. For the pictures.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Do you want a grenade in your coffee?
Yeah,
as well?
mind. A little splash. So this was the. When did you take this?
I didn't take these.
Oh, right. So that's all Venice, isn't it?
No. No, that's not what it is. Ah, got me Larry's. Fucking Larry Grayson's. Jesus Christ. Who would have thought it would come to this? Cabman's shelter. It resembles a large garden shed. 13 such shelters can still be found in London. They originated in the mid-1870s when philanthropists such as Lord Shaftesbury decided to help London's cabbies by providing a place where they could get a decent meal and avoid the temptations of local public houses. You can't drive a cab when you're pissed, can you? But those in the 1870s, did they have cars then? Or were they doing like horse and cab? That must have been for the horse and cab. You can drive a horse and cab if you've had a couple of drinks, surely. I mean, if the horses aren't drunk, then...
You've got to be in control of the horses.
The shelters were not allowed to be longer than a horse and cart, and by 1914 over 60 shelters have been constructed. Today the public can purchase food and drink, but as we just discussed, they're not allowed inside. Follow the map up Clifton Villas. The church spire should be behind you. You'll see straight away why this is regarded as one of the most attractive parts of London. The wide streets flanked by elegant stuccoed 19th century villas. Warwick Avenue itself is named after Jane Warwick of Warwick Hall in Cumbria, who in 1778 married into a family that once owned much of the land around here. As late as 1830, maps of London show the area north of the canal, still covered by open fields as far as Kilburn. You soon reach Blomfield Road. Now, we were approached twice by locals, weren't we? At around this point.
Oh yes, very keen to help. First this little old lady came up and said, "Oh, do you need directions?" As if we were like tourists, like looking at a map, but she didn't realise what was going on.
No.
And
I said to her, "No, madame, we are doing a historical walk," and I presented the book to her in the same way that
she
dog on
shuffled
heat
off.
presents its arse.
She soon shuffled off with a tail between her legs, as if she'd been. She didn't have the chance to tell everyone that she lived in the area.
With nary a word.
Yeah.
After that, and then another bloke.
But yeah, straight afterwards, same thing happened again. A man, similar age, probably I know a bit younger than that woman, but exactly the same routine, exactly the same.
which didn't bode well because it got you into quite a mood, didn't it? You were getting tempo. You didn't like being fucking.
I felt like they were kind of trying to
get rid of us.
Well, not get rid of us, but just extol their kind of local knowledge, as you know, just to prove that they were from there. Do you know what I mean?
This photos of the Grand Union Canal. This canal stretches for 137 miles between London and Birmingham. It was built between 1793 and 1805 and initially connected the Midlands with London west of here at Brentford. It was then decided to bring the canal even further into the capital, and in 1801 this section, the Paddington branch, was completed. It leads to Paddington Basin, seen later on in the walk. And it was, I suggested that would be a good thing to do, to walk the 137 miles from London to Birmingham, even though Birmingham is a shithole. At which point this prompted an anecdote from yourself. The trip, what one might say, a Proustian cake. It prompted a trip down, an anecdotal trip down memory lane for yourself, didn't it?
What about the Ridgeway Walk?
Yes.
Yeah, when I was a little boy, my brother and his our next door neighbour at the time did a thing that was called the Ridgeway Walk, which is like a walk that goes. It's like you walk basically all the way through England, and it takes several days. And they did this walk with like an old friend of my dad's who was like into that sort of thing. And when they returned after sort of several days, he telling me all about his travels on doing this Ridgeway Walk. And he said that he stopped at this I don't know, like a cafe or a motorway service station or something. And he said that they had this drink that when you drink, it was like, it had this glass that was made out of plastic that was plugged into the table somehow, and in it was like a drink, like a fizzy drink, like Coke or something. He said as you drank the drink, the glass got smaller. And he said the drink was called Dr. Shrinky, like Dr. Pepper, but called Dr. Shrinky, because it, like the glass shrank as you drank it. And I did believe it, that's the thing. I believed it for many, many years. It was only after about sort of 3 or 4 years had gone by that he said, "Oh, actually, I made that up. It was a lie." I really wanted to try. I really wanted to try it. I thought that's amazing.
What a lying. That man's a liar. You need to watch that fellow. However, Paddington Basin is still several miles from the Thames and the docks and wharves that made up the Pool of London. The greatest port in the world during the 19th and first half of the 20th century. The need to connect up inland trade with the Port of London more effectively led to the creation of the Regent's Canal, built between 1812 and 1820. This cuts eastwards through St John's Wood, around Regent's Park, and then through Camden, King's Cross and Islington until it reaches the Thames at Limehouse and connecting with the Grand Union Canal on the way. From Blomfield Road, he didn't give us great directions for this. We were supposed to look over the other side to see the house where the painter Lucian Freud lived from in Delamere Terrace, where in 1944 he lived and worked there for over 30 years. His early surrealist work, The Painter's Ruin, was produced during his time here. But we couldn't look over because there was a bloody great big wall.
Yeah, they're weird, those paintings. I think the early works are better than his later works, actually. Have you seen that one with the girl with the really massive eyes?
She got a knocker out.
No, well, maybe, I can't remember. I remember she's just got those really mad, sort of staring eyes.
I think so. In Volume 4, he claims he's got a huge fan base, and he's sent loads of these fans have gone out to test out the walks. And he lists them all. Thanks to, Mrs. Singh and Mr. Singh and all the rest, and loads of other people as well. So, you know, we will see if he's just making them all up, you know, when we do the walk. Because if like this...
Is he aware of this, these broadcasts?
I would, well, he doesn't mention it.
I think he should be informed.
I'll join the Facebook group actually. If it's on Facebook, I'll find the group and I'll start posting them there. And this is the first mention of one of Britain's greatest living entrepreneurs, Richard Branston of pickle fame. Yeah, is that right? The guy who invented the pickle.
Yeah, Branston Pickle and Virgin Records. Yeah.
Richard Branson was driving down Blomfield Road in 1971 when his car broke down. He was already keen to live on a canal boat and began a conversation with an Irishman standing on the pavement, who, upon hearing about Branson's interest, directed him to a narrow boat the Irishman had recently sold to a young woman. Branson ended up moving in. What, while she was there? Is that what it is? It became an affair? And he later stayed for many years on a large canal boat beside Blomfield Road. His canal boat features in his autobiography, and many key moments in his life were played out there. Like when he signed the Pistols, you might have thought,
oh, that's why they got the idea to do the boat thing.
I will sign the Pistols then. More recently, it was reported in the press that the billionaire had renovated the vessel after complaints from local residents about its dilapidated appearance. Head left down Bromfield Road and cross over the bridge. Do you remember this bridge? It was a nice bridge.
Yeah.
It was a lovely bridge. It was actually a lovely day, wasn't it? It was started off a little bit rainy, but the sun pretty soon came out. And that was the view from the bridge here. There, wasn't it? That was the view from the bridge. Yes. Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the view from the bridge. To join the towpath on the other side, that's on the right hand side of the picture. You are now entering Little Venice, London's modest yet pretty answer to the great Italian city. Little Venice is essentially the junction of the Grand Union Canal as it leads down to Paddington Basin and the entrance to the Regent's Canal that leads to Limehouse. The origin of the name Little Venice is unlikely ever to be fully known, although the best explanation is that it was first coined by the poet Lord Byron. He was possibly tongue firmly in cheek. Whose cheek, I ask? And which cheeks? Upstairs or downstairs? Comparing the area with the canals of the Venice that he knew so well. The origin has also been attributed to another poet, Robert Browning. Never read him. Have you read him?
No.
Who lived in Warwick Crescent for many years after his wife and fellow poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning died in 1861. They had lived together in Italy. However, the area was not commonly known as Little Venice until the second half of the 20th century. As you can continue along the Tau path, you will see a small island lying in a large triangle of water. Well, that's supposed to be it, but it's not. Maybe this is the view from it.
No. These aren't your pictures?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you remember the island?
I remember it well, yeah.
I said I wouldn't mind living on that island. What about yourself?
Well, yeah, they've got this if you go in Victoria Park, they've got like a boating lake, and they've got a similar thing, like a little island in the middle of the boating lake.
Yeah, but you can't. If it's a boating lake, how do you escape? Like on this little island, you've got routes to escape. You know, you put your boat out and you go over the canal, go down. You know, whatever way. You know what I mean? But if you're on the boating lake, You're a bit fucked, aren't you? You're stuck there.
Well, no, I remember. Well, they used to have in Colchester Castle Park. They had a similar thing, and I'd always thought about, what would it be like to be like a Robinson Crusoe in the middle of the boating lake.
Well, that's what I said. I said I could live on this, and I'd eat cheese. You know what I mean? I'd make it from mouse cheese or duck cheese or something. It's known as Browning's Pool, and it's the heart of Little Venice. Originally known as the Broadwater, it formerly served as a holding area for the barges making their way down to Paddington Basin or the Regent's Canal, because it's no longer a working canal, is it? In that sense, you know.
No, it's just people living there.
And like
house. Oh no, you did see that. What was it, like social media thing?
Yes. Content creators.
Content creators, yeah.
On the barge. No, but you had bemoaned the difficulty in finding something to eat. And down this zone, all it was fucking...
Yeah, if I just walked a little bit further...
People stuffing their faces at cafes, posh cafes.
Yeah, little cafes on the boats.
And it reminded me of the woman that moaned about the day that we chose to go out, because she goes, don't people work for a living anymore? And these people weren't working for a living, they were just sitting there fucking scoffing, stuffing their faces with legs crossed, all posh.
Yes.
If you have time, you can take a canal boat trip. Puppet theatre barge, don't need to talk about that. Good for kids if you have them. Continue along the right-hand towpath of the canal that leads down to Paddington Basin. You soon pass under...
The Westway.
The Westway, again! Again, the Westway, the very next walk. We come to the fucking Westway again. With hundreds of vehicles thundering overhead. This elevated section of the A40 runs for 3.5 miles. And was built between 1965 and 1970. It was a controversial development, forcing hundreds of people to be moved out of their homes that were demolished along its route. The looming Westway has always attracted strong views and inspired J.G. Bollard's book Concrete Island, which saw a middle-class man stranded in a no-man's land under the road. I thought it was by the side of the road. Walking under the Westway, you will encounter two men. Who are they?
What are they called?
The wanking man and the standing man.
Yeah, two concrete. I don't know if they're concrete. What the sculptures of life-size human being, just in kind of like walking pose.
Well, one's walking and the other one's just standing there.
Yeah.
This guy, he says they're disturbingly lifelike. I didn't find them disturbing. Did you?
No, just like, your regular sort of public artworks.
Yeah. Like, oh. For mums and dads would go, oh. Wouldn't they? They'd go, oh. Oh. But my mum wouldn't even know to say that's disturbing. She wouldn't even know that. They're by the artist Sean Henry. The Clash also referred to the Westway in their song London's Burning. Countless bands have had their photographs taken under its dramatic urban lines. See the cover of the Jams. This is the modern world. I never liked the Jam at all.
No, never been a fan.
Not one tiny little iota.
I quite like going underground when I was a kid.
Well, there you are then. You were a fan.
I'm not a fan. Just like, there's like one.
I didn't even like that. Gosh, that's half an hour already. Mind you, it's been on...
For ages.
Yeah. Just after you pass under the Westway, cross over the footbridge. I liked that footbridge. Do you remember it?
Yes.
I liked that footbridge. I couldn't find I will find a photo for it. But I must say I did like that footbridge. And then there was that strange machine in the canal. That we couldn't work out
I
what
thought
that
it was for like gathering
scum.
what do you call it? Algae.
Yeah, scum.
But you said no, it can't be.
Well, I couldn't because it had holes in the. It had like a like you might see on a.
I think it was that though, because I remember
a thing, you know, for roadworks with a digging thing that would pick up all the dirt. I think it was
that thing though. I think it was for that because they used to have them in. When I lived in Hackney Wick, they used to have them. They clean out all the canals around Hackney Wick.
Well, then I ask you, but two questions. One, why did it have holes in the digging thing? And two, why was it for hire? You would assume that it was just the council job, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I can understand that, why it would be for hire.
Cross over the footbridge, which I loved, and then what happened next?
That weird, like, yellow walkway thing.
It was the orange underpass.
Yeah. Yeah, and it had like a nice little... kind of round
bit in the centre,
yeah,
with no roof.
Yeah, and it reminded me of the artist James Turrell. You know James Turrell?
No, I don't know anything.
He does these like rooms where you walk in and all you've got is a massive like a hole in the roof, and at a particular time of like it's in twilight when the sky is changing colour, it just looks like a kind of minimal square, like a painting. We
wondered why this wasn't in the book because it felt significant enough to have been in the book. You know, it was strange enough to warrant
a mention.
Yeah. I mean, when we got into that centre bit, our imaginations went wild about what it could be used for. Crazy. I can't even repeat some of the things that were said. They were pretty fucking rude though. So anyway, it's worth it just for that, I would say. Now, this leads you walk through the bright orange underpass on the other side of the canal. This leads you under the roaring westway again, and once on the other side, turn right. There were some ne'er-do-wells around this area we had to scurry past. They were looking at us funny. Follow the map up Porteous Road and then bear right into St Mary's Terrace. On the left-hand side, look out for an ornate Gothic entrance that leads down to St David's Welsh Church. I don't think I got a picture of that, but I remember it very well. But I don't think it's worth us. We got into an area where we suffered some confusion, didn't we, around here?
Didn't you have the Fleming, Alexander Fleming council block?
Yes, I don't know why it's not. I do have it, but I don't know why it's not. Look, it should have come up there. Fucking cunt. Oh, it just skipped ahead. There we are. That's our next thing of interest. That church was a Welsh church where you can have Welsh services. Moving on. Then there was another church, St Mary's Paddington. The original parish church stands at the very heart of the old Paddington district. However, before visiting St Mary's, stop on the left-hand side at Fleming Court. Over to you, Beamish.
Yeah, Fleming. It was. It's like a council. I'm not sure of the exact date. To me, it looks kind of, I don't know, 50s or maybe 40s. I'm not sure, but it was named after Alexander Fleming, who invented penicillin or discovered penicillin.
Fleming, penicillin. Found it on a dish.
On a petri dish.
Found it on a petri dish. His greatest wish to cure the world of syphilis and other things. This is an excellent example of post-World War II social housing, though its real point of interest can be seen under the entrance on the right. Here you will find a memorial plaque that commemorates the opening of this building by Sir Alexander Fleming, 1881 to 1955. 1881 reminds me of something, Simon. Who was born on this day in 1882?
1882.
Yes. Yes, a very famous man. A junkie.
A junkie.
A junkie.
William Burroughs.
Lived by night.
I don't know.
Bloody dangerous as well. Bloody dangerous fellow.
No, it's like you've got me. I don't know.
I mean, kind of guy that really take a bite out of you.
Bram Stoker.
No.
Dracula.
Bela Lugosi!
Oh, Bela Lugosi.
Yes.
Well, that's quite hard. I'll guess a man.
I gave you plenty of clues. A junkie, a famous man.
I didn't know he was a junkie.
You didn't know Bela Lugosi was a junkie?
Absolutely no.
Yeah, he had terrible back pain started it. Yes, he had awful back pain. Anyway, that was a digression. Alexander Fleming, most famous for his discovery of penicillin at St Mary's Hospital in Paddington in 1928. By the time Fleming opened the building named after him in 1948, he was a world-famous scientist and had recently been awarded the Nobel Prize. Since its discovery, penicillin has helped eradicate or control many diseases such as syphilis and tuberculosis, and so saved millions of lives. Part of Fleming's drive came from his years of service during World War I, when he realised more soldiers were dying of infected wounds than in battle. He returned from the war to begin his research at St Mary's Hospital, seen later on in the walk. Continue along to visit St Mary's Church. Now this was all very confusing, all of this stuff.
Well, there was like a little hut that you thought was the church, which it wasn't.
But he was there. There was part of the church.
Oh right, okay.
Anyway, look, let's not get into those shenanigans. Just be warned, dear reader / walker, that you must keep your wits about you and you can't trust everything you read in the book. The next point of interest for us was on it. Hey, that's what I'm fucking talking about, sunshine. Why isn't it? I suppose I should have named these by this bit. I can. Next to the church is a public garden which was originally the churchyard of St Mary's. You can still see hundreds of gravestones that were moved to be beside the wall when the park was created in the 1890s. Look out for the grisly skull and crossbones carved onto one of the gravestones. So here we are at the skull and crossbones gravestone. I must say it's very confusing getting to here because there seems to have been about 3 St Mary's churches in the same fucking locale. Anyway, what do you make of it, Beamish first?
Well, I can't really read the name, but I'm guessing these gravestones aren't servicing a body.
No, they got pulled up to make way for the park.
So doesn't really matter whose name it is.
Oh, so I like the skull though. That's a good skull.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got little booties on.
Looks like a little kind of spider or something.
Spider skull. Is that what you say, Mr. Stitch?
Yeah. Spider skull, spider skull.
People paid a lot of money to get those stones with the names
What are these
put on
little
them.
sunken ones in front?
They're children's graves.
Or pets. Pets or children. People paid a lot of money. And now look, you've got no idea.
I know, it could be anyone.
Could be any Tom, Dick or Mary.
They're completely washed away.
Yeah.
That's time.
Forgotten about. That's what will happen to us all.
Father Time remains undefeated. The transhumanists these days, they are trying to defeat the man. Oh, they want eternal life. They fiddle with blood and other strange molecules in their strange wish for eternal life. And now we shall take a seat and we will continue the convo.
This is a great site as well. Bench. Sorry, it looks like a seat. Hello.
You're not resting your legs, Richard?
Excuse me, what breed is that dog?
A crossbreed, Cavapoo.
Oh, Cavapoo.
Yeah.
Right, that's the one. My daughter was one.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
They're very popular.
Right, so what did we think of the walk so far?
So far?
Yeah. Stop, Richard, we've got... What do we think of the walk so
The
far?
walk so far? Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good.
What was your favourite bit thus far?
Thus far, West Way.
Canal
The canal. Okay.
around Rich Benson boat. I'd like to have seen Rich Benson boat.
Right, well we didn't get to see it. Yes, it was nice. There was a lot of cafes, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Very, very cafe culture. But I suppose, you know, it's all turned into sort of culture now
Well, that's
rather
the
than
thing, is that
working.
when I arrived to meet you,
Does anybody work these days?
when I arrived to meet you, I was desperate for a cafe, and there wasn't one. That's the way it goes.
Like buses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all very. It's not like a working canal these days. Like of the bustle of moving the
No.
stuff from the port,
No.
getting it all around the fucking city, and then up
No.
country at the veins. It's all just like people sitting poncing about.
Asking if you need help for directions.
Well, they were very friendly. I liked those two. Simon
That
didn't
that
like
dog
them.
wants you to throw the ball.
Well, I'm not going to play it. We've got other things to do.
Go on, throw it. Now go away.
Yeah, so I think that's enough for now, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, good. It looks like it's wearing little booties, doesn't it? Something like a spider
doesn't really
skull.
look like a skull. Yeah, spider skull. Looks like a little spider thing.
But then, most of these gravestones have been made. You can't read anything on them. Time has washed away the inscriptions,
Yeah.
which gave us pause for thought, didn't it? About these type things.
Well, yeah, Yeah, the grave, the impermanence of, you know, you put these things. I mean, I'm sure they were paid for by loving relatives, and now they're just propped up, just getting slowly eroded.
Erosion. That's
Yeah.
it. Well, as I remarked at the time, you know, not particularly originally, but Father Time remains undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
When these stones were first put up, people marched to them as if they were huge, significant, you know, sort of events, and now nobody knows
Just
who.
propping up a wall.
Nobody knows who the
No
fuck
one
they
knows.
were.
Yeah.
You know, it's like-
No one's going to come and bring your flowers to you.
no. Although you could do that as a artistic
gesture, yeah.
Have to be pretty cheap flowers though.
Get plastic flowers.
Yeah, but they're not cheap. They're not so cheap either, are they? So, but you know, that particular stone is definitely worth a look. Then we were taken to visit Sarah Siddons, a striking statue of the 18th century actor Sarah Siddons, now grazing. Yeah, she's grazing like a fucking cow. She's gazing, dear listener, out over a brutally busy road instead of the fields and canals that would have dominated the landscape during her lifetime. She was the leading tragic actress of her day, giving performances that were legendary for their emotional intensity, provoking fainting and hysteria from her adoring public. I nearly fainted at the sight of the statue. She actually looks much better on her other profile. The profile we got, it's a bit scary, but she was famous for her Lady Macbeth. She was also the subject of portraits by Reynolds, Gainsborough and Lawrence, engravings of which further added to her fame. But guess what, Mr. Beamish?
What?
I posted photos of her to get people's interest on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Guess what happened?
What?
I'm about to tell you. I'll tell you. I have to read this all out. I'm not making it up. I don't make things up. Here we are. London History and Oddities comments, she was a friend of my 4 times great-grandfather, Edward Hickey Seymour. I wonder if he's related to the leisure centre that we come across later.
Could be.
Who was also an actor. She was present when he got robbed of his pocket watch in Drury Lane. The court case that followed went to the Old Bailey, to which I replied, "Excellent. Did she stand as a witness? What was the upshot of the court case, and was the pocket watch returned?" He replies, "That's all I know, I'm afraid, and it wasn't the Bailey, my mistake. We'll try to dig up some other info." Then he comes back and says, "It is recorded on the Old Bailey's website. The theft happened the 27th of February 1788, which was before the Bailey opened, according to Google. So presumably the case was at the Old Bailey's predecessor." I said, "That's amazing that this, not to be rude, but small crime is recorded and listed. Is the criminal's name and punishment listed by any chance?" London History and Oddities replies, "James Dixon was the criminal. He was found guilty of stealing the goods, but not of robbery on the King's Highway. It was near the Rose Tavern, which was very notorious at the time." To which I reply, because I went and did my own investigation now onto the Old Bailey's website, and I discovered that what a fascinating website the Old Bailey online is. Dixon was transported for 7 years to New South Wales in Australia.
Wow.
Doesn't say if he's coming back. But the watch was never found, and sundry other goods. Nor, I suppose, the other items or his accomplices. Quite the snapshot of an incident, which Funny Face put a like on. Yes. So that's what happened.
Well, that's interesting to get all that from just putting a picture up on.
Yeah, I could go on to. I could. Is it too much to? Well, he was in. There was a gang of them, you see, and about 4 of them. And when they came out, it says they.
And they stole her watch, or
No,
she was a friend of this bloke.
yeah, she was there. They were leaving the Drury Lane Theatre.
Oh right.
And the Rose
They
Tavern.
probably thought, oh, she's probably got wealthy. Her mate's probably got
No,
a few quid.
Yeah, and they pushed him up against the wall and did a kind of, you know,
Grabbed his pocket watch.
yeah, and a few other things, and then scarp, and it's all very, very well detailed on the website. I'll send you a link, and I'll send you the link to it. I mean, it's not worth pausing on in much people could much greater detail right now.
Yeah.
But it was very good to. That was a nice thing to happen. So anyway,
You could put a link to that website.
the Old Bailey website, yes. Right, where are we? When finished, continue past the church to reach Paddington Green to the east. Paddington is named after Padda's Tun. Tun meaning farm. Padda being possibly a Saxon landowner or a 7th century king of Mercia whose followers took control of London. In medieval times, the district was just fields surrounding a small village under the control of the Abbot of Westminster until his lands were seized by Henry VIII. It was later returned to the control of the church. The development of the canal and growing suburbs surrounding the area means Paddington Green remains the only real remnant of the old parish of Paddington. Between 1998 and 2001, the BBC broadcast Paddington Green, exploring over... Oh, God. Do I really have to read this about some shonky series?
It was just like a, fly on the wall thing about down and outs in Paddington Green.
Yeah, he does mention how it seemed to present quite a rough picture of the area. George Shillybeer ran the first omnibus service to London from Paddington Green to Bank in 1829, and number 13 housed the office of England's first famous private detective, Ignatius Paul Pollocky, known as Paddington Pollocky. He came to England from Hungary and had a colourful career serving as a special with the Metropolitan Police, and at one point keeping track of Confederate agents who were buying arms in London during the American Civil War. It's been suggested he helped inspire Arthur Conan Doyle to create the fictional famous detective Sherlock Holmes. The famous English song Pretty Polly Perkins of Paddington Green also brought this area into the public consciousness. It was composed for the music hall by Harry Clifton in the 1860s, and the lyrics include the lines... She was as beautiful as a butterfly and proud as a queen, was pretty little Polly Perkins of Paddington Green. Now, Ricky Stitch did find the actual song, and I don't know, maybe it's just the guy who did it, his version, but you can see it wasn't all that, was it? It didn't have
Was
any.
it that from the good old days or something like that?
Well, the version he found seemed fucking a bit more modern. Is that the word? Like slow paced. Where I was imagining something called, Pretty Polly Perkins of Paddington Green would be a perky tune with a skip in its step. You know what I mean? On the east side is a vast and striking structure that is occupied by City of Westminster College. Now, I present you that photo that he's using and what it actually looks like. Oh, come on, man.
Oh, it's just from the other angle.
That's got a fucking curve in it. I ain't got no curve.
Because the curve is there.
No, not like that.
Yeah, because it's from the other side.
That's like a fucking concertina.
It's from the other side.
It's not. That's the front.
Yeah. Front. If you were standing here, it would look like that.
No, it wouldn't. Anyway, I don't want to waste any time on that. Paddington Green's Children's Hospital, which has a lovely little bit of red sculpture. It's very nice.
And it's now flats, I think.
Follow the map to leave Paddington Green on the southeast side. On your left is the highly fortified and extremely ugly.
Is that what he says?
Yes. Paddington Green Police Station, which was built in 1971. It has high security for good reasons, given this is where terrorist suspects are normally brought when they are under investigation. Well, no, they are not, sir.
Not anymore. Anyway.
Not anymore. So all your fans should have done this fucking walk, shouldn't they, mate? You know, because now it's clearly been squatted over the years and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's most definitely no longer in use.
Yeah, but I was imagining getting waterboarded up the top, you know. Because this is all part of it.
Yeah, in one of those rooms they would have been interrogating the
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah.
And waterboarding them and all this sort of shit and going, nah, nobody's going to believe you, Mustafa. Go on, tell anybody you like. Go on, scream as loud as you like, Mustafa. Nobody can fucking hear you in here. Do you know what I mean?
Spill the beans.
Spill the beans, or we'll slit your bean bag. And those two fucking beans of yours. Those two. What do they call that? What are those lumps of shit? What that lump that they put in the?
Lumps of shit.
No, when you get the vegetarian. When you get the vegetarian. This is funny, listener. It is. When you get the vegetarian kebab, but it's not a kebab. It's got these two round balls in it.
Falafels.
Yeah. We'll slit your falafel bag and pull out your two fucking falafels, mate. That's what we'll do. If you don't spill the beans. Now we continue on to reach the Edgware Road, and it was at this point that you thought you said, let's have a sit down, let's have a drink.
Yeah, I don't know. I was in a weird sort of frame of mind, and I saw a pub, and I just thought, yes.
Well, you know, you'd been out and about for an hour beyond me and Ricky's stitch, hadn't you already? So
yeah.
You know, there's reasons.
It was time for a sit down.
Time for a little sit down and a think, you know, about everything, you know, because otherwise you're just rushing from one thing to the next without anything sinking in.
Yeah, but we went in this pub, and I was like coerced into buying this American red ale. I don't know what it was. It wasn't very good.
Made by the Native American Indians or something.
Yeah,
and she was a cheeky cunt as well, because she said, "Oh well, you know, you're only young once." To which I gave her a stern eye and said, "That's already been and gone, love." You know,
it's just trying to make conversation.
She's lucky I didn't reach over and grab her by the neck, slam her head into one of the taps, you know, and skewer her eye on one of the things that they
pumps.
Yeah. The Edgware Road, which follows the course of Watling Street, the Roman road that ran north to St Albans. If you follow the road northwards, you come to Edgware itself, a town in North London. The name is derived from a Saxon name, Ecgi, E-C-G-I, and refers to his pond, or ware, hence where. Ecgiware, which has then become Edgware.
Eggy's Pond?
Yes. This is one of the most cosmopolitan roads in Britain, and there's loads of Arabs there. Men sit outside cafes using a hookah or water pipe.
Hookah.
Do you get high off of those?
No, it's just tobacco.
Doesn't even clear the head.
It's like sweet tobacco. It's very much tastes like a vape.
Mm. And on a hot day, you can understand why. I'm not saying that. Arab immigrants first came to London in the 19th century, mainly because of trade with the Ottoman Empire. Now they were a dastardly empire. In recent decades, political unrest in parts of the Middle East have encouraged more people from that region to come and settle in this part of London. Now, there was an incident here, wasn't there, which we shall only refer to as the Sainsbury's fiasco.
Yeah, I was being my mental capacity was being questioned, and it was, you know,
Ricky Stitch, as is his way, was desirous of a
meal deal.
£3 meal deal.
He does a meal deal.
He loves a meal deal. Now, Beamish directed him to a Sainsbury's, which he had thought that he had seen. Nobody else had seen it though. Ricky Stitch couldn't find it, so then he tried other shops, corner shops, etc., which refused to sell sandwiches. So then I thought that Beamish was hallucinating because he'd had a long day, and you do hallucinate things. But to cut a long story short, because this anecdote isn't as fascinating as I thought it was when I begun it, there was a Sainsbury's. It was just slightly hidden by scaffolding. So I discovered it, and then
he got a sandwich.
Ricky Stitch got his meal deal, and then we had to sit and wait for him to fucking eat that. But he had a salmon and cream cheese sandwich, and you were egging him on to put his crisps into it, but I said no, that's a posh sandwich. And he did not.
He said, I'll do it in my mouth. He said.
Head south down Edgware Road. He takes us to Edgware Road Tube Station, which was bombed. It was opened in 1863 and was part of the Metropolitan Railway, which ran between Paddington and Farringdon, the world's very first underground railway. On the 7th of July 2005, 6 passengers were killed here when a terrorist detonated a bomb on a train leaving the station at about 8:50 a.m. Other attacks in London that day killed in total 52 people. But then he tries to direct us to Joe Strummer Subway, which remembers the rock legend who used to busk here in his early days before the clash. Over the years, the underpasses below the road have fallen out of favour, some having been bricked up, and have given rise to urban myths about people living in the recesses. Well, we didn't find the Joe Strummer Subway, so maybe it did get bricked up. But then we did go into a charity shop where, uncannily enough, they were playing The Clash.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Don't you remember that? No. Then we were directed further down to a neon sign for Robertson's, a famous London pawnbroker that was established in 1797, still going strong. Then left down Crawford Place, onto Brendan Street. Look out for the intriguing Codestone Keystones. Sounds like the Keystone Cops, doesn't it? But it's not. I remember where they are. Down here. No. Oh, well. There he is. There he is. Do you want to read a bit?
Where is it?
Codestone Keystones.
The Codestone Keystones. Above the front doors of the late 18th century houses, just past the Lord Walgrave public house, Codestone was a famous ceramic, artificial stone produced by Eleanor Code. It became legendary for its ability to resist London's pollution, and many examples around the capital can still be seen today. After it came out of a mould, it was easy to manipulate for a while until it became too hard. This made it the perfect material for the makers of these fabulous keystone faces. The reason for these unique keystones is connected to the London Building Act of 1774. In an attempt to reduce the risk of fires, the Act prohibited any unnecessary exterior woodwork. This created a new risk, that the exteriors of the new brick buildings being thrown up by developers all around central and west London
you had to be there, really, listener.
would look very bland. These keystones were an attempt to bring some character to the entrances, and they're like faces.
Yes.
You know those,
They're somewhat grotesque.
They remind me. I remember going round someone's house, and their mum used to collect these faces, and they had them hanging all like around their fireplace, and they'd got them on from
Oh,
various.
they're fucking horrible. Those little heads.
Yeah, the weird faces, and they reminded me of those.
Yeah, I've got an anecdote about that, but well, our neighbour, their walls were covered in them, fucking from, and it was just
They'd like get them when they went on holiday or something, and
it was horrible.
yeah,
But clowns and pirates
Yeah,
and judges and policemen and ne'er-do-wells and just milkmaids or just fucking. But they all had something nightmarish. They all had the grotesque about them.
yeah, and these well, they reminded me very much of those. But
Imagine if you
apparently
were-
they're worth quite a bit of money because there's not many of them left. I think these houses are the only ones where they've got them. So I reckon if you went up there with a angle grinder, cut one off, you'd
Yeah,
probably
you'd have
get.
to be a silent fucking angle grinder. Now he goes into great detail about the making of this codestone, which I will foreshorten by saying it was a secret formula of hers. But also in a previous walk we covered it because the lion down by the bridge that used to be red was
That was made of it as well, was it?
Yeah. At this point we've entered Marylebone, named after the parish church of St Mary's that stood by the Tyburn River, or Bourne. St Mary at the Bourne was shortened over time to Marylebone. Continue along Crawford Place. Oh, for fuck's sake. What? There we are. Continue along Crawford Place, looking out on the left for the Christian Union almshouses, run by a charity dedicated to providing houses for local poor people of the Christian faith. The almshouses were founded in 1823 and the property here was purchased with contributions raised by local parishes with the stated aim of providing an asylum for poor and aged believers in full communion with some Protestant church. Many of the original guests were retired female servants or seamstresses and were chosen by elections held every 6 months. Now, we did comment that this had a grandeur to it in design, but also a nice, cosy sort of hobbit-y feel as well.
Yeah, it was like
'Cause it wasn't huge.
little bungalows.
It wasn't huge. Then we are taken to. It shows the former site. The next important stop was.
Conspiracy.
Yes. Yes. I will get rid of these unnecessary. Some pauses are good, but others are unnecessary, and this is an unnecessary one. There we are. There we are. Yes. Now this was a real highlight. What do you remember of it?
Well, there was a. This is where there was a conspiracy to overthrow Parliament by these kind of activists. And Radicals, yeah. They were plotting to overthrow Parliament, and they were discovered and hanged.
Yes, this was the house where one of the most notorious episodes in British political history, the Cato Street conspiracy, took place in 1820. At this time in Britain, radicalism was on the rise as people struggled to cope with the social upheaval caused by the Industrial Revolution and the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars. I mean, we might be entering social upheaval now, what with the, well, not the aftermath, but the ripple effects of this Ukraine situation. You know, we suddenly realise that we're in a domino world. one thing falls and that everything else seems to fall.
It's definitely falling at the moment.
A group of men, many of whom had met at a local Marylebone reading club and were influenced by the radical Thomas Spence, decided to assassinate the whole cabinet. The plan was to attack the home of Lord Harrowby, on nearby Grosvenor Square, when the cabinet were due to meet there. By killing the government, the group hoped to trigger a revolution. However, they were infiltrated by a government agent who controversially encouraged their plans. Controversial because, perhaps without his encouragement,
They wouldn't have gone to that far. Yeah.
And it's still a tactic used by the FBI, CIA these days.
I know one.
You know one?
Well, I'm not going to get into it.
This is what we're here for. The nitty-gritty, sir!
Too sensitive.
The nitty-gritty, sir! We must have it!
Too sensitive.
Or we will have your falafels. Oh, too sensitive, says Beamish. Not old... not that little blonde.
No, a friend of mine... Well, it's a friend of my brother's, actually. He was like a... They used to do these...
He worked for MFI?
No, they used to do... You know when they used to... He's like a kind of... Greenpeace sort of thing.
Oh.
And they were... I think they were planning to close down nuclear power stations or something. But anyway, he was in this kind of group of all these kind of radical people. And one of their party was a copper who was undercover, and he was like sleeping with this girl that was part of the thing.
Oh, this was a recent scandal.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. How sometimes they get them up the sprout.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's hard work though. If you can get one of those smelly Brussels sprout women up the sprout, you know, for Queen and Country, then...
Yeah, I mean, they have to live the whole life. They have to, like... You know.
Well, until they get taken off the case,
Yeah.
and then they have to do the off-ski, like...
Yep.
No, leaving a poor child without a father. Anyway, so that's why it's controversial. The government agent who controversially encouraged their plans, the radicals stayed in this house, and on February the 23rd, they were themselves attacked by members of the Bow Street Runners, backed up by the Coldstream Guards. The conspirators were arrested for treason. 5 were later hanged and decapitated in front of a large crowd outside Newgate Prison, while the remaining 5 were deported for life, maybe to meet old Dixon. That ne'er-do-well. Continue down Cato Street as it leads out into Harrowby Street and turn left. Follow the map north up Sholdham Street and then right at the Seymour Leisure Centre. The Leisure Centre is an excellent example of municipal architecture from the 1930s. That's too late to be our Seymour from earlier. Unless it's
might
his
be
family.
His family,
Yeah. Look out for the foundation stone from 1935 that recalls William C. Cole's role as chairman of the Baths and the Wash House Committee. The Bishop of London was the first president of the original committee, formed in the 1840s. And more committees were established around the country over the next few decades. The aim of the movement was to encourage greater health and hygiene among the poorer classes in crowded urban districts. Do you want another coffee?
Yeah.
All right. I'll leave it rolling.
All right.
In case you do a fart or anything like that, but don't do a smelly one, please. Don't do a smelly fart, sir. Don't put your fart on the stage, Mrs. Ding Dong. Careful of that phone, because I nearly knocked it onto the floor. I'm gonna. If she smells anything, I'm gonna blame it on you. You won't be here, so it won't matter. God, that fucking sign. There's nothing I could do. Nothing I could do about it. Another Irish, son. Another Irish for ya. Right, mate. Right, mate.
That reminds me of when I went. You know those? I used to go on those.
It's good though, isn't it?
You know I went on those Sonic weekend things.
It looks good though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, thanks.
And there was this. I was trying to get to. I had to get a lift. I had to go to Windsor and meet this woman who was going to drive me to Wales.
Well, she had huge googly eyes.
No, but the guy who was he said, "Oh yeah, you can't miss him. Got bright red hair and big bulging eyeballs." You fucking arsehole.
Oh, about you?
Yeah.
Oh, oh dear me. But that's pretty cool, man. If anybody has a Halloween thing, that's what I'm going like that. Also, Aveling told me I need to work on my look for the walks, so I've ordered a pith helmet.
Oh right.
Yeah, but I had to order a French one rather than the English one because the English one's too formal. Like you can't. You can't really chill in it, you know, if you see what I mean. I'll show you later on when we finish this.
Has it got a spike?
Oh, I'll do it now. I'll show you now. We need to get away from.
I know. I've got this really scary story about this boy in my village who's like a mental nutcase. He went. He got really. He was like always on something. He went into a.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
He went into a police station. He stole like a police helmet and a police like coat. And wearing this, he went round to this boy's house. And
oh dear.
He gave him a Chelsea smile. You know, he catches it like that.
Oh. No, there's a knife in it.
Oh, I don't know. He split his mouth like that.
What, as a cop? Dressed up as a cop?
Dressed as a cop.
Oh, I thought you said he was a nice guy at first.
No.
He was
Fucking insane.
Jesus. What was the upshot of that?
I don't know. He was always in trouble. He was.
Yeah, but that's more than trouble. That's prison, isn't it?
I don't know. He was mentally. He was not right in the head.
Definitely not, sir. What just fell off of me? Oh well, it's not important. Your bell end. Your bell end just fell off, sir. Well, that was nice of them to think about the poorer classes getting a nice clean once a week. These, of course, were the decades when cholera. It seems so long ago now because that was at the very beginning of our walks when we learned about the curing of cholera. Yes, the curing of the cholera. Turn off that bloody tap, sir. There's the blighter. There's the perishing blighter who's responsible, isn't it? Turn that off.
Cholera's gone.
Hey presto. You could have said that the cholera had been collared. You know what I mean? These were the decades when cholera was still a huge problem in London, and most of the less well-off had no access to fresh running water at home. Several bathhouses were established in central London, drawing thousands of users who would get their only regular bath there. Things have certainly changed around here since 1935. Today you visit the Seymour's Leisure Centre to take classes in Latino aerobics. Body Pump and Zumba. Well, what the hell is Body Pump?
It's just these like stupid dancing things, aren't they?
Oh, is that what it is?
Dancercise, jazzercise.
Oh, yes, you would know having two ladies in your life. Okay. Follow the map along Bryanston Place, Montague Place, and then Bryanston Wyndham Place with the spire of St Mary's. The street and square names in this part of Marylebone often derived from the country estates mainland and the Portman estate. So William Portman of Somerset first acquired the 270 acres here in 1532 and development began in 1750s. At that time the Portman family, maybe related to Natalie Portman, the actress, owned Bryanstone, a village in North Dorset, hence the name of the square. Today the estate covers about 110 acres and is ultimately owned by Christopher Portman, then 10th Viscount Portman. His wealth has been estimated at over 1.2 billion. That's a small fry compared to other folks. Walk towards St Mary's. Well, oh, God damn it. We'll cut to that. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck's sakes, man.
What do you mean?
This.
Yeah.
One of the prettiest and most distinctive churches in the capital. It was built in the 1820s, one of the Waterloo churches. It was designed by the architect, was Sir Robert Smirk. And we thought he was smirking because it looks very, you know, what's the word that we're looking for?
Proapic.
Yeah, it's like a fucking bone on. Which suits Mary and the Bone. Maybe that's his joke.
Well, that's what I was thinking at the time, but I didn't say it 'cause it was a bit corny.
A bit corny.
Yeah.
It's never hadn't stopped you in the past. Unfortunately, the church is not open very often. Walk around the right-hand side of the church. He directs us to the Maltese cross. This is in. Should I read this? I am skipping a few things, dear listener, just for brevity's sake. There's a description of how the Maltese cross came to be. Shall I read that?
No.
No. Okay, you can look that up in your own time. But it's got to do with the Knights Templar and stuff like that, and how, because part of their thing was to look after the weary traveller, it then got revived by St John's Ambulance and stuff like that. Then to York Street Ladies Residential Chambers. Parish Hall of St Mary's. Now, we're skipping these things not because they're not interesting, just because, once again, I must say, dear listener, you really have to do the walks. You have to get the atmosphere. Once you click into the time travel, the theatre of the mind, the sensation, the atmosphere. There are moments when you really are transported, which just reading it here, it's particularly long passages, can't really do. It will just tend to put you off, perhaps, you know. I don't know. It's up for debate, that one. Next significant stop. Not the most significant, but just trying to keep a nice pace going on here. What's that, Mr. Beamish?
Jimmy?
Yeah. He was in the last walk as well.
Oh, this was his actual house. This isn't where he died. This is where he lived. Is that right?
This is possibly the most rock and roll dress.
That's right.
ever.
Yes. John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix.
34 Montague Square.
Who else lived there? I think Ringo.
I shall just read. Yeah. I will read. Walk down Upper Montague Street to reach Montague Place. Cross over into Montague Square and stop on the right-hand side outside number 34. There is a blue plaque outside recording that John Lennon once lived here. John Lennon, of course. That's just a little jest. In fact, this is probably the most rock and roll address in the country, as Ringo Starr first moved here in 1965. When he moved out, Paul McCartney used number 34 as an experimental recording studio and made demos of songs such as Eleanor Rigby here. He also allowed members of London's underground scene to record spoken word productions here, including readings by the writer William Burroughs of Naked Lunch fame. Ringo still had the lease in 1967 when Jimi Hendrix moved in with his manager Chas Chandler. He was in The Animals or some other. In 1968, John Lennon and Yoko Ono moved in, the Beatle having left his home in Surrey after splitting up with his wife Cynthia. John and Yoko were photographed naked in the flat. I always thought that was in New York. That naked photo.
What, the two virgins?
Yeah. The shot being used for their album Two Virgins. A police raid on the flat on October 18, 1968 resulted in Lennon being convicted for possessing cannabis. The media furore that followed the raid enabled the landlords to force Ringo to sell the lease, and number 34's connection with rock and roll history was at the end. Until 2010, when Yoko returned one last time to unveil the blue plaque, remembering her late husband. Then we headed south along the side of Montague Square, and he told us to look right, and what did we see? What did we see?
Marble Arch.
Yes, and you said I'd never seen Marble Arch.
Yeah, well, I think this is the interesting thing about this whole walk, because it's a part of London that you know, it's kind of integral to a lot of the history of London, but it's not a place that I've really explored much at all.
Neither have I. To me, I've always just thought of it as a kind of
Back street.
well, no, it's sort of a old terminus, I suppose, a Paddington station. You know, something you go through,
Yeah.
change out to go somewhere else. Not to stop and hang around at, unless you're going to do something extremely touristy like Madame Tussauds or something. Is that
Yeah,
one there? But also at this point, we also came across something that he doesn't mention in here, but that we thought was definitely worth a. This.
Oh yes, William Pitt Byrne, Esquire.
Yeah, let's not read it all out. I'll put the photo. If you come to this spot, dear, then look down towards Marylebone Square, and then look right to your side, and you'll see this incredibly loving and long-winded ode to her husband by some woman. He was a
He's like a critic or something. He was a journalist or something.
something to do with journalism, yeah. But Ricky Stitch was impressed by his independent journalism, by his noble disinterestedness. It's definitely something worth looking at, pausing over.
You can't see it in that picture, but it's all kind of coming out of a clam shell.
It's all coming out of a giant clam shell. Why would she have chosen a clam? Possibly because he was a taciturn.
He would always clam up.
Yeah, but it was
his part of his disinterestedness.
Yeah, but it was publicly he was a clam, but secretly it was all going on inside. There was a pearl.
There was a pearl inside that clam.
Inside that clam. if you go in the early morning around here, you might see the horses of the Royal Artillery who come down here on their morning rides. Then you ask us to turn left into Connaught Square, where Tony Blair lives. I'm not going to read all of that. Paul Oakenfold and William Orbit.
There's another Branson.
More
mentioned.
Branson, yes. I'll read. Richard Branson began what became the origin of his Virgin Empire from a basement flat on the square in 1967. The flat was owned by the parents of his friend Johnny Gems, and Branson later recalled it was dark, dank. We slept on mattresses on the floor, man. From the flat, Branson ran his publication Student. He began it while still a pupil at Stowe School, and it quickly became a huge success. Well, I've never heard of it, whereas I've heard of Oz and like other ones. From Connaught Square, the teenage Branson would venture out to interview famous figures such as John Lennon and Vanessa Redgrave, and secure contributions from the likes of David Cockney and Jean-Paul Sartre. Student caught the mood of the radical late 60s, but did not go down so well with the church commissioners who owned the freehold to the flat. They did not like commercial activities taking place there, and Branson was forced to move. You will shortly see where he went next. Then continue to Frederick Close, pleasant mews houses down here. It's beautifully secluded, despite being just a stone's throw from the busy Bayswater Road. You look through the gates at the end of Frederick Close, you can see the gardens on the other side. It's all very, very lovely, very, very lovely, but doesn't, you have to be there. More things, and then my favourite spot, because as he mentions earlier with the Marble Arch, I shall going back to the Marble Arch for a moment. Marble Arch in the distance. This was designed by John Nash in 1825 and originally stood outside Buckingham Palace. It now stands near the site of the Tyburn Tree, originally a tree and later a set of gallows that became the largest and most notorious public execution site in London from the 12th century until the 1780s. The name Tyburn, burn or bourne meaning stream, comes from a now hidden stream that flows from North London right through central London into the Thames, into which they used to throw people and sacrifice. Then we come back here to find the very spot of the Tyburn gallows. Continue south down Edgware Road and stop at the junction. To your left you can see Marble Arch, and in the pavement at the junction a marker. You will need to have a little, it's on the middle of the route.
Sort of traffic island.
Yeah, it's on a traffic island. Marble Arch and pavement at the junction a marker identifying the likely spot of the Tyburn gallows. It's also been suggested there were gallows where Connaught Square now stands. So that was good. Then he tells us a lot about Bayswater Road, and Phileas Fogg turns up. William the Conqueror. The name Bayswater is most likely derived from Baynard's watering hole, the owner being Ralph Baynardus, who came over with William the Conqueror in 1066. I'm just reading now about the Norman conquests, and fucking hell, man, they were brutal people back then. You get capture these soldiers, and just they were sadistic. They just cut off their hands and cut off their feet and let them live. What the hell are you going to do with yourself after that? What the hell are you going to do with yourself? That's fucking nasty. A freshwater spring would have been a valuable possession in medieval times. I am coming to believe that these springs did have powerful healing properties that they have lost as we have become more distant from nature. You have to believe in something for it to work, maybe. Anyway, that's on my own thing. Then we came to the Tyburn Convent, which is notable for many reasons, but one is that it's got a sign marking that 105 Catholic martyrs were hung at the Tyburn tree. during the Tudor period, crossing over with Elizabeth I during all the troubles between the Protestants and the Catholics, because Protestantism was the new religion coming in and all of this. Very, very interesting stuff. Do your own research. Malaysia, Cashkit and Simmons. Archery Close was interesting. Continue along, passing pleasant shops and cafes that are popular with wealthy international residents who live around here. On the right, look out for the small entrance into Archery Close, the house that forms the rear of the Blair residences down here. The name recalls the popularity of the sport of archery. People did wonder how the Blairs would get on moving into such an Arabic area, but well, when you've got that much police protection, you don't really have to worry about too much. The name recalls the popularity of the sport of archery in Regency times. A dedicated practice area was used by the Royal Toxophilite Society. I did look up Toxophilite. And have I got it in here? A student or lover of archery, as I suspected. On the old burial ground of St George's that you glimpsed through the gates along Frederick Close earlier on. This area used to be known as Tyburnia, a planned development of fine streets and squares that began in the 1820s. By then the area east of Edgware Road was already developed, but London's growing middle and upper classes needed ever more houses, and the empty fields of Paddington were ripe for development. The close proximity of Hyde Park, just to the south, made it very attractive. Blah, blah, blah. Unlike Belgravia, the name Tyburnia never caught on, but I like it, and if I'm ever back there, I will call it Tyburnia. I like that. In the Ambulator Guide of 1800, that means people who like walking. Ambulating is to move. You know. The Bayswater area is still described as a small hamlet in the parish of Paddington, a mile from London. The fact that Bayswater was largely developed by 1850 suggests the level of building activity in the intervening decades must have been astonishing, and the only comparison in the modern era for London is probably the development of the Docklands from 1980s. Fuck you, Yanks. You know, I'm going to go with the fucking Germans. Yeah, that's right. European Union. That's Long Good Friday. You must watch it. It's fucking brilliant. And then various other things, and then we come to the Paddington Basin. It's all very, very... now, this is worth a mention. We stood by St John's Church, and I went in and I did some sound recording. Doing echoey prayers in there. So here we are at St John's Church, where Branson was arrested for his magazine that had dirty adverts in it. Beamish is feeling a bit tired. We all are, but it's been a very good walk. We're nearly at the end now. We've only got 4 more things to do. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. We've seen so many things we've never seen. The Tyburn tree. Yes.
Conspiracy house.
Conspiracy house. We made up a song about the Tyburn tree, didn't you, Si? There you go.
Tie another body around the Tyburn tree.
Hang another body from the Tyburn tree.
If you want me, you got to feed the tree. Tie another body to the Tyburn tree. What was your favourite thing thus far, Mr. Beamish? Went to Lennon's place, didn't we? Lennon's on sale again.
Imagine there's no religion to.
Where we had Burrows and down there. Well, that's
No, the whole thing's been good, really.
You can't pick out a single thing.
Tony Blair's house.
You didn't come to see that,
That
did
wasn't
you?
really a standout for me. Yeah, I reckon Tyburn tree is probably a good one.
Fred Barnes.
Well, we need to look up Fred Barnes in our own time, don't we? Alright, enough. By the way, I've got little bits of us talking which I'll insert in.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
And but right now I'll play a bit of that sound recording. I think it must be this. Is it that one? No, that's the long one. This one is the one. This must be it. You can hear it's there though.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I'll have to zoom up the volume on it.
What was it like inside there?
Very echoey. Well, anyway, look, that doesn't matter. It will be good on the thing. So, and then we came to the Paddington Basin, which is not at all what it used to be like. It's very futuristic and snazzy, and as the guy says here, the area has recently been heavily redeveloped, although it's fairly soulless. It's hard to imagine how it must have appeared in its early 19th century heyday, when hundreds of workers would have milled around here, loading and offloading goods onto the barges, while the bargemen looked after their horses. Although it was a huge boost to the development of this area. And then we went and sat down at a pub, and we might put here some of the conversation we had there. Well, here we are at some pub. I just visited the Paddington Basin. Pardon? I just visited Paddington Basin.
Paddington Basin, yeah. Accosted by 3, were there 3 of them or 2 of them? I can't remember. Anyway, they were, I couldn't understand what they were saying, but I felt like they were throwing some sort of insult, but couldn't work out what it was, so it wasn't really effective.
Pseudo-aggressive.
Yeah.
But, you know, ignoring them seemed to make them go, move along. Don't know what it was about.
I was just bemused.
It made me realise how tough it must be being a ginger though, side, because it's, you know, it's kind of instant slur.
Well, I've got a very thick skin.
That's what I heard about the gingers. I've heard the gingers have got very thick skin, thicker than humans. But the basin, as the guy said in the book, it is hard to imagine what it was back when it was a working.
Well, you were describing the guy that we saw. What was that street that we walked down? This guy popped out, literally, his belly popped out of his front door.
Yeah.
And
he had style.
He was like naked from the waist up.
He's a white fella.
Yeah.
With a kind of northern working class attitude.
With a huge beer gut, and he didn't seem to give a shit about it.
Yeah, I'd like to be that fancy free that I could just stand in my doorway topless with a huge beer belly.
He didn't give a shit. He was shouting to someone in the street.
I was on the phone.
Oh.
So this is the end of 5 hours and 45-minute walk.
Oh.
I'm going to give it 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Yeah.
It was good, yeah.
Started very well on the canal. And then just, it didn't really dip for me. It didn't dip. I'm going to give it... If I was to take those, romper suit thugs into account, I might have to reduce it to a 9, but I'm going to give it a 10.
Fuck them. I don't even know what they said, so it doesn't matter.
I'm going. 10. You can never give it a 10 out of 10, can you? That's. I'm going to give it.
It wasn't as it hasn't beat the Hammersmith one.
I thought the Notting Hill was good.
What did you rate Notting Hill?
It had more kind of personal interest for me. There's more sort of things that I've been wanting to see, like pretty much all my life that I did. I ended up seeing it in the Notting Hill.
What like?
There was, like Powers Square, the performance, stuff like that. I've kind of wanted to see that for ages, and I've never seen it.
So what did you rate that then? Can't remember it.
Well, the Notting Hill?
Yeah, must have been an 8.
It was up there, yeah.
So what did you rate this then?
I don't know, one below that.
7.
Yeah, I'd say 7. You have to 7.5. 8, maybe 8.
I'm going to go with 8. I'm going to go with 8.
Oh yeah, no, but the Notting Hill one had the Christie House as well. That was like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, this had the Tyburn tree.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Cato Street caper.
Yeah, that was amazing. But I have to admit that I'm totally shattered. My legs are like almost collapsing under my body, and I'll probably feel different about it, in a couple of hours.
You came out an hour earlier than you should have.
Well, I was up, so I thought I might as well get there because I know what the trains are going to be like.
Also, what to expect that is normal. It's normal to walk on step.
I love that Cato Street conspiracy house.
Yeah.
That's the kind of house where you would... I mean, obviously all the houses around it are modern, so it stands out.
It's the kind of place where people would sit around a table sort of plotting.
Yeah. Well, they did. I got a bit annoyed by the constant Richard Branson.
Well, I thought it was funny that he did the student magazine. I've never heard of that before.
Makes a change from Dickens.
Well, I think we're so tired now. I think we've nothing more. I can't really leave the tape on, just taping. Well, I can just leave it on.
Street noise.
Yeah, get a bit of street noise. would have been nice if that old pub looks like a slice of cheese, if that was still a pub and not a restaurant. Then we could have gone to that. But as it's a restaurant, it's not good. I mean, I was worried about this walk when I looked at it at home in the book. You know, if you look at the map, it looks like super, like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
But it wasn't too bad to navigate actually, but if you look at it, it looks I was like, oh, Jesus. It's going to be hard work.
I can't actually take it in how far I've walked, but it has been a long, long walk.
Well, we started up here, all the way around here, up here, down here,
Oh,
up here.
oh my god, yeah, it's so massive.
Well, 6.4 miles.
Feels longer than that. Feels a lot longer than that.
Can't wait to get volume 4. But then we have to do the Lost Rivers walks, and that means you have to start way out on some of them.
Does he suggest that you do that whole thing in one go? Is that the idea?
What, these walks?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to do them all in one go, but obviously you can do what you want, you know, but I want to do them all in one go, absolutely. I mean, the only one that there's only like, I think the Greenwich one is the only one we failed to complete, and that was because of, well, I thought that as it was firework night, the park would be open, but it was all shut, you know, so, and I was thinking that would be great, we'll be high up on the Greenwich Hill, watching all the fireworks, that'd be amazing, but it was all shut and we all... No mention of Paddington Bear though.
There's a statue of Paddington Bear on the platform at Paddington. Well, it's like a little seat that you sit on.
Oh, we'll have to get a photo of that. He doesn't mention it in the book.
Is that recent?
Huh?
Is that recent?
What?
Statue of Paddington.
Well, it's not a statue, it's more like a kind of fiberglass thing that kids sit on.
Oh, it's not a nice bronze. Should be a nice bronze. I'll give you the... When I get home, I'll give you the deets about Oberbeck's birthday thing.
I've got alternate 12 meeting on Saturday afternoon. Is it in the afternoon or evening?
Yeah, afternoon. Thank you.
They've been really mean about guest list tickets.
Are they?
You know, I must get nicking. All the work is done.
Well, how are they being mean?
So there isn't any.
There aren't any. Well, I've been loads of times, so don't worry about me. You'll have to get him in as your assistant or something.
I'll have to say I won't do it if I don't have a guest list. It's outrageous. Not even one. Take it's overbooked. Just don't worry about me. Get him in as get Nick in as your assistant. I mean, he's a bit of an odd-looking assistant. I think, you know, as an OG, I was on the post. I was the poster fucking thing. Yeah. I could get a ticket. Aged out. You'd be damn sure Matthew will get his way in. Who wants to look at a load of men in dresses anyway, prancing around? Are there any superstars involved again, like Brian Eno, like the other? No, it's Jarvis Cocker. What's he doing? Co-presenting. Do you want to roll up, Richard? No, I just have one.
But if someone's like getting really nice, that's
Went to Zandra Rhodes' house on Tuesday.
Pardon me?
Went to Zandra Rhodes' house on Tuesday.
Why?
Andrew Logan had his birthday party there.
How was it?
Rich old ladies.
Oh, that was just Andrew and Zandra. It was full of rich old ladies. Is it possible to have fun, or were you too busy minding your P's and Q's?
Yeah.
I don't, you like those things in it.
I don't want one at the moment.
I thought you wanted to roll it.
No, I just have one.
No, don't worry.
It's going to cut down.
Have one drag on it before you and I'll pass it to you.
Do you think you might want to come to Overbeck's thing?
Tomorrow?
Saturday.
I think I've got Beatrix on Saturday. I think.
So it's just me and all of her Ponzi hipster mates.
She's not hipster mates.
Of course she's got.
Give me the details in case I can get free earlier.
Do you know the Doors had that famous phrase, "Feast of Friends"? It's the feast of friends. Alive, she cried, waiting for you outside, and then there's a live thing or something called Feast of Friends. It's one of his famous lines. It comes from Old Norse.
Is it?
Yeah. It was a common phrase that they have in Old Norse.
Feast of Friends.
Yeah, but it's not. It's Vin or something like that. But translated, it means it's a phrase, a feast of friends. Like it was a common sort of, a common phrase for like having a party or something. I didn't know that. Just I'm translating that old Norse stuff. So that's how I saw it.
She knows a lot about stuff I don't know about her. So she'll say things that I'll be like, must be true. And I'll sit through the presentation she'll give for Ghana with these. Because that's what the Ghana is. Let's ring for it. I bet he brings it.
Avo's in Cyprus.
Is he?
I said to him, don't get mixed up in the trouble between the Captain Kirks and the Bubble and Squeaks, you know what I mean? Captain Kirk is Cockney rhyming slang for Turk. Bubble and Squeak is Greek. Drove that bloke off. He'd had enough anyway. He didn't drive him off, he finished his bloody pint. Well, like sometimes these posh folk, when they hear me talking highfalutin, they get a bit like, who do you think you are?
Except in Warwick Avenue where they all go, can I help with your directions?
Well, they're just trying to get us off their streets. Anything to get us out of their area. I didn't know what to do when I was very polite and posh, and I said, "We're on a historic walk, madam." I didn't know what to say. This was nonplussed. Yes. It was a very fine walk. It was a feast of friends. No. I feel like I've seen that guy on some kind of current affairs program.
You're going to give a look at him.
Did he look familiar to you?
It's just an ordinary guy who's having an after work pint.
You see that Secret Service bloke up at the old up round Tony Blair's place? Yeah. With a scraggly long beard. Shabby, tall, lanky, shabby looking with a big long beard. Did you see it? The Secret Service bloke up by Tony Blair's place.
No.
You didn't see it? See, you don't have the eye for it. You don't have the eye. That's what they're supposed to do. You're not supposed to notice them. But I see them. I've watched enough Rambo movies. Have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
You never go full retard. Pardon?
Tropic Thunder, you never go full retard. Have you seen it?
About Tommy Lee Jones on a boat. Is it Tommy Lee Jones?
No. It's a comedy by the same guy that did Alright, I'll download it. It's a comedy by the same guy that did Zoolander.
Oh yeah.
But it's about actors.
Oh, I couldn't get into it.
You couldn't get into it. You saw Morons from Outer Space, didn't you?
Morons from Outer Space.
Yeah, with Griff Rhys-Jones.
It's got Mel
Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones.
I remember when it came out. I never went to go and see it.
Oh, did you see Spies Like Us with Chevy Chase?
Again, I remember when it came out, but I never went to see it.
I did. What about Down and Out in Beverly Hills?
Huh?
What about Down and Out in Beverly Hills?
No. I've seen Caddyshack. It's got, what's his name? Who's that old comedian, American comedian?
Probably Chevy Chase.
No.
Oh, the fat one.
What's his name?
Didn't you love to go to the cinema when you were a kid?
Yeah, but I normally went to see, like my parents would normally my dad would normally take me. We went to see things like Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah, of course. Hawk the Slayer. That was a double bill. You can't play.
Hawk the Slayer and Saturn 3.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, stuff like that.
No, yeah, but
we wouldn't go and watch American comedies. That wasn't his bag.
But when you got a bit older, you went on your own. Because you were taking drugs by the time you were 14.
I remember, like, my girlfriend, when I was like in my teens, she took me to see Edward Scissorhands, and she was a goth. She had the same hairstyle as Johnny Depp in Edward Scissorhands, and as we walked out of the cinema, everyone was laughing at her.
Did she just cut herself up?
No, she wasn't that hardcore. But she used to wear she had the full like goth regalia.
Did she have big titties?
They weren't enormous.
There's a meme these days. I want a big titty goth girlfriend. I don't know. Is that E.T.?
Yeah, of course, I went to see E.T. Yeah.
Ghostbusters?
Yes, of course. All the big, all the massive ones, like, I tell you a really good one.
The Last Starfighter?
Yes, saw that, and also Carquake. Remember Carquake? There was a double bill, Carquake and the Attack of the Giant Spiders.
I didn't get that the other way.
And my dad took me to see 2001. I remember we walked in late to the first. Like we walked in like it was already halfway through. So we stayed in again. And we watched it. So it came round again, and we stayed to watch it again.
I had the same thing with Watership Down. We came in just before the really bloody bit. And then we had to stay and watch it all over again.
Yeah, I saw Watership Down at the cinema.
You couldn't do that these days. You couldn't turn up late and they wouldn't let you stay to watch it again.
No.
Not these days.
How old were you when you saw 2001?
I must have been very young. I remember.
Because I saw it when it came out with my dad when I was about 5.
Yeah, I was very young. I didn't really understand what was going on.
It must have been a re-release.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I think they were just showing it at the I don't think it was they were just showing it and anyone could go.
alternative Miss World coming up. It just works. They're not giving any fucking guest list.
Have you designed stuff for it?
I played music.
Oh, right. Oh, is that the goal thing? He told you that Nick, he came round. He played his tune.
He speaks very highly of you.
Really?
He thinks you're a very nice person.
He had all these DVDs with him.
I know, we got the same story from him.
And he let me pick out all these DVDs, and one of them was Thelma and Louise, and then like a few days later I got this knocking on my door. Simon, I don't suppose you've got that Thelma and Louise copy. Do you mind if I have it back?
But that wasn't for him, it's for his mate.
Yeah.
Oh, now the journey home. It's a bit epic. The train. Well, not for you.
Yeah, you just live around the corner.
I've forgotten how to do the sewing.
Oh,
It took me about an hour to remember how to do it. But I did it. When you want it to reverse, you don't have to hold it down, do you? You just push it down.
you have to keep it down while you.
But then how do you push? I found that very hard. To hold a line.
Because you don't have to do very long reverses, it's short, so you don't.
Well, no, because I was just doing a crotch.
Oh.
So, I mean, I managed it after a fashion. And then I thought, really, if I really cared, I would unpick that and do it again, but I don't give a fuck.
I have to get you some needles and unpick this and things.
I have to get this. It was the only. I phoned my mum and dad up, and it was the only new thing I had to tell them. And I started laughing. I said, "I'll make you some clothes for Christmas," like that. And I was just laughing so much about what the state of these clothes would look like. And then my dad said, "Peg bag. Need a new peg bag." I'm like, "What, for the washing line?" Like, yeah, you have a peg. If you have a washing line, yeah. So that means it has to have like a coat hanger in it, so that you can hang it on the peg bag. So it's got to have a coat hanger in it. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a monstrosity, but I have to do it now. That's the peg bag. Peg bag. Peg bag.
Peg bag.
Yeah, I knew her well. On that note, dear diary, this is the end, beautiful friend, of lovely walk.
Paddington.
Marylebone.
Marylebone.
Mary the Bone. Mary loves a bit of being boned. See you next time, folks.
Bon voyage.